But I would say that things have changed quite a bit compared to 10 years ago.
I mean, if you think about it, Singapore is still a pretty young country. So, I mean, definitely, the first couple of years we have to figure out our place in the world. But now that things have kind of been established, I think this is where like our identity and our arts are gonna start coming out. So I believe that maybe in like the next 10 years we're gonna see a lot of like local art that makes it to the world stage. Plus,
I think so too.
Plus, when that happens, I think more parents will be less doubtful of their children, pursuing their craft or like
for sure
or sports.
Once the country really matures.
Before when we reach the point where we no longer have to like worry about shelter, food. Actually, we're kind of at that point already. That turning point is.
That's why you're seeing it now. Like we're already part of the turning point. I mean, fuck, dude. You both are musicians.
And I know a lot of musician friends.
You know
as well.
what I mean? Come on. We're already there.
Not many. Like I would say, for the musicians that I know, they are mostly like working musicians, meaning they play nights
their own,
and they teach. But they're not like artists. Like in terms of like big name artists, they're not a lot in Singapore. But definitely, I would say they are more now than like 10 years ago. Remember like 10 years ago where it's just like it's just a small niche,
small like underground scene type thing,
and like everybody in the scene kind of knows everyone else, but now it's a lot more different. Like there are people from outside the scene coming and check out the shows and whatnot.
And I mean, you're also coming into the generation where you've already got I know a bunch of adults who back in the day when they were younger, they used to play gigs and shit, so they've already got a history of music. That's why from their kids onwards, they're like super open to their kid having the idea of, I want to be a musician. Because I know this dude, like he used to play straight up heavy metal, had the gigs and shit with the mosh pits, and like in places in Singapore where you wouldn't expect to find a fucking a heavy metal
like
concert.
Tampines CC,
like, right? Like what the fuck is this? Because even in Republic Poly, dude, like you don't even know they actually do hold gigs over there as well.
And I had the Ignite Festival like yesterday, right? Or this past weekend.
But like it's getting more and more often. Like you see these people, your uncles and aunties from now on are going to be those who have a history of having played music in some fashion or other. So I think it's just going to be a lot more easy for the next generation of people who want to be musicians to just say, I am a musician. They don't have to be embarrassed about it anymore.
How would you say like we can increase the exposure for artists in Singapore, like in your opinion?
I mean, if I knew the answer to that question,
he'd be doing it.
But I mean, it's tough to say, because on one hand, there's definitely a stigma against Singaporean art, but at the same time, there are definitely people who are super passionate about helping artists grow and pushing the arts in Singapore. So, I mean, I think it's just a matter of time, really. Like to me, I feel like it's just a matter of time. It just takes time for more Singaporean artists to make it, in the sense where everyone gets behind their back. Like say like for Gentle Bones, for example, like I went to the show and it was fucking sold out like 2 nights in a row or something like that.
Sick.
And we just need more people like that who are just breaking those barriers where like kids they're growing up, they're like, shit, this guy can do it, and he's from the same place I'm from, he speaks the same way I do, he eats the same food that I eat, he can make it, so can I, kind of thing. So I feel like maybe in like 10 years when people start to see that it's definitely a possibility, it's going to become a lot bigger.
For sure.
And to be fair to a lot of the governmental institutions, they are trying to push the arts quite a bit, like NAC giving out grants to different bands to record their album, giving it out to like producers to like fund the recording of bands that they might find have potential. So that's great as well. Quite hopeful for the future too, man. Quite hopeful for the future too. Still a bit of a long way there, though. We
definitely have ways to go. And I mean, some of these government projects are a bit short-sighted also.
A lot of it is because it's run by people that don't really know much about the arts.
Exactly. They're just like bureaucrats sitting in the office. Like the whole piano thing where they bought like fucking expensive ass pianos for primary schools. I mean,
Yeah.
sure, you know, like if you think that's gonna help the arts, like I think you got a fucking
Yeah.
completely wrong idea.
That's
you know?
one of the
It's-
problems. That's one of the problems that they kind of have is like they think a lot of problems can be solved by just like throwing money
yeah,
at it.
exactly.
Mhm.
But
exactly.
something like this is not about throwing money at it. Something like this is about
You have to nurture it.
you have
Yeah.
to nurture so that the culture changes along
Mhm.
with and starts to accept all these local artists. And
Yeah.
yeah. But okay lah. I mean, we definitely have a few big name local artists coming up right now.
Yeah.
It used to be that you have to make a name for yourself outside.
Yeah,
of
outside of
Singapore
Singapore,
first.
yeah.
Then the people here will start to accept you. Like JJ Lin, he
Yeah.
got huge
Yeah.
in China first before the people in Singapore started accepting him,
Mhm.
and then he sold out like 3 nights in a row.
Yeah.
You know, sold out Singapore indoor stadium, which is
Yeah.
Yeah.
tough,
Crazy,
man.
man.
Which is
Because
tough.
back then, especially when I was younger, like you might have had local musicians, but everybody just thought he's a musician in Singapore. He's not that great. He's not
Yeah.
as good as the Western musicians. I'm like, bro, why you putting down your own
Yeah.
people, bro?
It's a bit of a complex.
Like, what are you doing, man? Like,
Yeah.
oh, just because he's from Singapore, he's not a good musician. What the fuck is wrong with you, bro?
Yeah.
Just be
Yeah.
glad that you even have fucking musicians in Singapore. What the fuck is wrong with you?
I feel like one thing that could help us though is if we come up with like our own sound, like
Yeah.
a very
Yeah.
defined sound that comes
Mhm.
out from Singapore. Like let's say for example you think of like Cuba, there's a specific sound that comes out from it with the beats.
Yeah.
Brazil as well.
Yeah.
Even if you think like
Yeah.
Iceland. I mean for me I think Iceland, I think Bjork.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well,
Yeah,
and that's
exactly.
a specific
Exactly,
sound, you know?
right? Yeah.
Yeah. Which is one thing I feel I'm not sure whether
And if you're from Philippines, karaoke. Nah, fuck.
just don't sing my way, right? Just don't sing my way at the place.
You're fine as well.
Yeah. But I mean, one thing about that, about your point is, I feel like a lot of these countries, you know, they have like a very strong traditional music,
Yeah.
like they have very strong music traditions. Whereas in
Yeah.
Singapore, you know, we're kind of like a mixture of cultures where we
You're
don't
still
really
trying
have
to find out
yeah,
your sound as
exactly.
well.
You know, we don't really have like a fixed identity where like, you know, even if you go to like East Malaysia where, you know, they have their musical cultures, you know,
Yeah.
where it's very ingrained in the traditions
Yeah.
and stuff. But whereas in Singapore is everything is very new, and it just takes time, this kind of things. You know, it takes
Yeah,
like
for sure.
generations to
Even
really develop a
Philippines,
culture. Yeah.
Even Philippines, they already have, they focus on acoustic music or
Mhm.
either that or like rock, grunge, stuff like that. You know, if you hear any band like Parokya ni Edgar is a super popular band from the Philippines, and all their music is like either acoustic or has hints of maybe alternative rock to it.
Mhm.
So they already have their own styles over there. So I think Singapore just needs to get to the point where
Yeah.
you guys
mean-
have figured out what sound is supposed to come from Singapore.
Right.
To be honest, I think one of the main barriers that we might have is like the language thing. We are like one of the only English speaking. I mean, probably the only English speaking country within Southeast Asia.
Yeah.
So it's not
Your
exactly.
primary language is English.
Yeah, exactly. Our primary language is English, but the region doesn't really speak as much English,
Yep.
which is why it's a
Mhm.
bit difficult for us to branch out.
Yeah.
And if you want to branch out to like the Western areas where they do speak English, they already have their own artists,
Yeah.
which is a bit difficult. Yeah, but yeah, I mean, like you look at like places like Indonesia, they have like huge metal bands
Yeah.
that
Mhm.
that have like the whole country backing them. Even
Yeah.
our friend in Malaysia, Darren,
Yeah.
from an honest mistake, yeah, huge backing in Malaysia. Wait, but they sing English music as well.
Yeah.
Maybe that just doesn't make sense. I don't know.
I
why.
mean, yeah.
yeah,
It's hard to say, lah. I mean,
Yeah.
there really isn't a formula as to like how to make it, you know, in the music industry. Everyone like has a different journey, I guess,
Yeah.
to get there. But I think it'll just take time for people to really start believing in local artists, lah.
yeah, yeah. So, what are some like local artists you think that we should listen out for right now?
I mean, like Lewis is great, you know.
Yeah.
Like I miss the Cashew Chemist so much, man.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Those guys were fucking amazing, you know.
Yeah.
And they really had the island vibe also, which
Yeah.
which I feel like is uniquely Singaporean.
Yeah, yeah.
And like I mean I just hope they make more music soon, because if you ask me of what is the Singapore sound, I think they really defined it pretty well.
Yeah.
And there are definitely bands that came before them that did that, like the Pinholes. stuff like that, you know. But I mean, I gotta be honest. I've been living away from Singapore for like almost 5 years, so I haven't been like really checking out a lot of local music, which is what I plan to do since I'm back now.
Yeah.
I have to
Yeah.
really get like listen to who's out there and stuff. I mean, I'm sure there are great artists, but Drew Chen is one of my favorite musicians, and the
Drew
guy
Chen's
is like
shit,
a
man.
fucking high level musician.
Yeah.
So amazing. Great vocalist, great instrumentalist. You know, he has the whole package. If you
Yeah.
ask me.
Yeah.
I
You gotta
mean,
dig yourself back into that local culture. huh?
yeah. I mean, Charlie Lim is great. He writes great songs.
Yeah.
There's like Biddy Macbeth, this bassist. She goes to Berkeley also. She's a great musician. Like really good bassist. Interesting sound also. Very unique. But yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
besides that, I'm not sure. You know, I really have to
I see.
explore. Yeah.